In the 1920s, the richest people per capita on Earth didn't live in New York, London, or Paris. They were members of the Osage Nation in Oklahoma. After being forced onto land the government believed was worthless, the Osage discovered something no one expected: vast oceans of oil beneath their feet. Overnight, they became unimaginably wealthy: mansions, chauffeurs, private chefs. But that wealth turned into a death sentence. What followed wasn't just greed, it was a quiet, organized massacre that the government ignored for years. This was the Osage Reign of Terror, one of the greatest injustices never taught in school. To understand the murders, you first have to understand the system that allowed them to happen. The U.S. government declared the Osage incompetent to manage their own money. Every Osage person was assigned a white guardian, usually a banker, lawyer, or businessman, who controlled their finances. Imagine being worth millions yet needing permission to buy food or clothing. This system created a feeding frenzy. White settlers moved in, married Osage women, waited for them to die, and inherited their oil head rights. The legal claim to the money. It wasn't broken law, it was legalized theft, designed to kill without pulling the trigger. The murders began quietly. Anna Brown vanished, later found in a ravine with a bullet in her skull. Her mother, Lizzie, died from a mysterious illness, now believed to be poison. Then Anna's sister, Rita, and her husband were killed when their home was blown apart by dynamite. This wasn't one family. Osage people were being shot, poisoned, and bombed across the county. Anyone who investigated was silenced. One lawyer was thrown from a moving train. Another was poisoned in his bed. The warning was unmistakable: speak up and you die. Local police either looked away or were part of the plot. Eventually, the case became too big to ignore. It was handed to a new federal agency, the FBI. An old-school Texas Ranger named Tom White led the investigation, sending undercover agents posing as ranchers and salesmen. What they uncovered was a conspiracy reaching the highest levels of society. At its center stood William Hale, known as the King of the Osage Hills. Publicly, he was a benefactor and trusted friend. Privately, he orchestrated murders through doctors, hitmen, and corrupt officials to seize oil wealth one death at a time. Hale was convicted, but the truth was far darker. Killers of the Flower Moon reveals that the killings didn't end with a few arrests. There wasn't one mastermind, there were hundreds. Doctors falsified death certificates, bankers stole fortunes, neighbors quietly poisoned friends. It was a culture of killing built on the belief that native lives didn't matter. The real injustice wasn't just the murders, it was the silence, the watching, the choosing not to act. The Osage Reign of Terror shows what happens when greed is protected by law and prejudice becomes policy. History isn't only about what we remember, it's about what we're allowed to forget. If this story moved you, read Killers of the Flower Moon by David Grann. And tell me, what other forgotten histories should we uncover next? Subscribe for more stories the world tried to bury.